Hey everybody, my name is Steven and welcome back to the Storytime channel. Without wasting any time, let's get into our stories of the day. Some people just can't handle quarantine, huh? Some backstory. I live at home with my family, and while I'd be happy to stay inside during quarantine, they insist I have to go outside for an hour a day while maintaining social distancing. I'm pretty lazy, so what I usually do is I walk to the nearby high school. It's absolutely huge. And I climb on the roof and just sit there listening to podcasts and playing mobile games. The part of the roof I usually sit on is a little ledge overlooking the parking lot and adjacent to the basketball court, and it's only about a 6-foot drop onto some stairs, not even a proper roof. So today I was sitting on the ledge, listening to Taz and playing Plague Inc. when I see a family ride in on their bikes in the parking lot. I figure they're just getting exercise in, same as me. There's 2 kids, each young elementary school age on little bikes, and a mom. Entitled mom equals EM, not on a bike, watching them. Supervising, I guess. So of course, since it's super intriguing when someone's on a roof, the little kids start pointing at me and waving, and of course I wave back and smile. Then I look back at my phone and get back to my game. About a minute later, I hear entitled mother shouting. I only ever have one earbud in case there's an emergency. It's a habit. I figure she's shouting at her kids, but then realize she's saying, Hey you on the roof. I take out my remaining earbud and I say, yeah, what's up? She proceeds to tell me that I should come down this instant, that I'm distracting and influencing her child to do bad things, and that climbing the roof is against the rules. She was technically right about the against the rules thing, but the school's been closed for months and I'm not endangering anybody, except myself kinda, but I know my way around the rooftop. So I politely explained that I'm completely capable and safe and that her children are free to ask me any questions. She repeats her previous points, only now adding that I'm a stupid teenager and that I'm just doing this for attention. I say that the effect I may have passively affecting her young children's curiosity is not really my problem, and that she should just explain why they're too young to climb the roof instead of yelling at me about it. At this point, entitled mother is just red in the face. Her kids aren't even paying attention anymore, riding in circles on their bikes again. She continues yelling at me and I try not to engage. She says I'm harassing and assaulting them by refusing to listen to her and refusing to get down. Entitled mother has gone full Karen at this point, just screaming about how I'm ruining her time out of the house and that I'm a witch and I should be more considerate of people who have it worse than I do. The section of roof I'm on has a staircase that leads up to it and then a 6-foot block that I hoisted myself up onto and was sitting on. Entitled mother walks up the stairs and starts trying to hoist herself up the 6-foot block. She doesn't use the railing I used to help myself up, probably because it overlooks a 30-foot drop. The stairs bring you to the roof ledge on one side, but on the other side there's quite a long drop to the pavement, which she seems to be avoiding at all costs. She continually does a running jump at the edge of the ledge and every single time can't pull up her body weight. She continues this for about 2 minutes while saying things like, I try to create a safe and secure environment for my children and you are threatening us by being up here. You need to get down right now. I, of course, am still saying nothing, kind of just watching amused at this point cause what's she gonna do? Throw me off the side? After a while, she gives up and angrily goes back to her kids who are still riding in circles on their bikes. She turns, says she's reporting me to the police and takes her 2 kids and leaves the parking lot. I followed them with my eyes and she never once put the phone up to her ear. She might have called later, but there's nothing about it. If she did call, they probably told her she was overreacting. I hope so at least, or my little rooftop social distancing sanctuary will be more ruined than it already is. So she's trying to create a safe environment by trying to climb up this 6-foot block overlooking a dangerous area, leaving her kids alone down in the parking lot. If you were OP on this rooftop and this Karen starts yelling at you like this and starts trying to climb up there, what would you have said or done? Let me know in the comments below. Entitled Karen gets removed from family after causing a lot of pain for years. As this story is very personal and brought great harm to my family, I've been arguing with myself whether to post this at all or not. I will not go into great detail so that no one will be able to trace this back to anyone who happens to appear in this story. Backstory 1, my mothery backstory. Shortly explained, my mother had a happy life with my father until he was killed in an accident which left her with 2 little kids, me and my brother. After a long time trying to get her life back together and struggling financially until getting her widow's pension, she was extremely lucky to meet my stepfather through a friend. Both of them fell for each other instantly and only a few weeks later they were dating. Backstory 2, my stepfather's backstory. So my stepfather, who is the most kind, loving, and caring person in the world, was married to this Karen early in his life and had a daughter with her. But, as Karens are, she wasn't satisfied with only my stepfather and had an affair with another guy she felt had a bigger career ahead. And after it came out, my stepfather, of course, divorced her. She moved with her affair across the country. I want to say at this point that her affair later left her for a younger woman, so karma for that. But as they had a daughter together, she was of age at the time of the divorce, my father kept a friendly relationship with that Karen only for his daughter. So now that the scene is set, let's get into all the things that have happened ever since my mother and stepfather have started dating. From what I've been told, Karen was actually pretty nice at the beginning, but everything changed when my mother got pregnant with my youngest brother, and both my mother and stepfather were overcome with joy. One big change that came from this was that we moved about an hour away at that point, because our then apartment was too small for 3 little children, and my stepfather had to drive about an hour to and from work every day. Then my brother was born, and everything seemed to be as fine as can be. We moved, and it seemed like nothing could stop our luck, but that Christmas had a surprise for our family, waiting in the form of a 12-page handwritten letter from Karen, accusing my mother of stuff like not using protection, conceiving my youngest brother only to have financial support from me and my brother. My father made good assurances that my mother was cared for and me and my brother get financial support till we either start working or reach the age of 27, and was bullying my mother for not getting an abortion. No need to say that my mother was shocked about all of that. She and my father sat together and started to write a letter back, telling her to leave us alone and to never contact us again. We thought that was it, but as Karens are, they don't stop until they have spoken to the manager. Well, Karen's approach was to get her daughter, no blame goes towards her, involved and get her to spread her hate towards my mother. And as manipulative as Karens can be, it worked. It created a lot of friction between my mother and stepfather, as my stepsister didn't say anything bad in front of my stepfather. From what we all learned later, my stepsister got pregnant during a semester abroad about the time my youngest brother was born and had gotten an abortion, pressured into by Karen, and all without telling my stepfather a single thing. And my stepsister was in shock about everything once she met my youngest brother. And that piece of human waste Karen used her guilt and her feelings for her own campaign, telling her that my mother wanted to bind my stepfather to her by getting pregnant with his child, and that she was standing in the way of Karen and my stepfather getting back together. After years of trouble when my stepsister was around for a visit, me and my brothers were often at friends' houses when that happened. After years of Karen sending hate letters to my mother, even though we told the post not to deliver letters from her, Karen's web of lies and hate broke when she contradicted herself and the entire story was exposed. This led to a long talk between my mother, stepfather, and stepsister, which cleared up a lot of things and got them back to talking ground. We banished Karen's lies out of our lives, and while my stepsister still has contact, I don't know to which degree, we were finally Karen-free. You'd think the story would end here, but it doesn't. Karen's campaign, while blocked from us directly, was now being conducted through my stepfather's siblings. As my stepfather's family has regular gatherings, my step-aunts and step-uncles maintained a kind of good relationship with Karen, hearing nothing of her craziness, as it is none of my relatives' problems. So Karen starts feeding them some of the lies she told previously and some new ones to my relatives. And some of them leak through towards my mother, and all those old feelings from years of harassment come back up, leading to old arguments and to my mother stating that she won't come to family gatherings anymore, while such blatant lies were spread about her. So my father starts clearing up the lies that Karen has spread, and everything seems fine. Until 3 years ago at the birthday party of one of my step-aunts. As most of the birthday parties, it's a big family gathering, and lo and behold, guess who got invited? Because my stepsister became a mother just weeks earlier. You guessed it, it was Karen. And guess what that freaking witch says as a greeting to my youngest brother while he was standing next to me? My older brother, my mother, and my stepfather. She freaking greets him in her Karen tone of wanting to speak to the manager. Look how tall you have grown. At that point, we were all just standing there in shock, trying to grasp what that witch just said. After all the shoot she wrote, trying to bully my mother into an abortion, she had the audacity to look my brother in the eyes and say that line, as if she was a nice relative. Looking back, I should have probably punched her in the face, but as I was so utterly shocked that someone actually would say something like that I was just standing there dumbfounded, unable to do anything until a few of my cousins, they don't know the entire story, led us away from there. We stayed there for dinner but left quietly soon after because that waste of space was not only insulting my brother, bullying my mother, but openly started hitting on my stepfather, who was disgusted that she was invited to a family gathering while she was neither friend nor family. After an enraged ride home, he gave his siblings an ultimatum: either invite Karen to a party to never see him again, or expel Karen from all family-related activities because he doesn't want her or her negativity anywhere close to his family. I would love to say that the story has a happy ending, as in her getting arrested or a restraining order on her, but at least she's out of our lives. Best thing to come, after graduation from uni, ending my half-orphan's pension, my stepfather will legally adopt me. And Karen, if you by any chance read this, freak you. So OP clarified in the comments that the "look how tall you've gotten" comment by the Karen was said in a sense that, like, you're not supposed to have been here, which really adds an extra layer of realizing how terrible this person is. My condolences to OP and their family for having to deal with this lady for so long. It's your wedding? I'll wear pajamas. My biological mom left when I was 3, and I was raised by my dad and my crazy ex-stepmother. I was sheltered from my bio mom's crazy until I was an adult. It took me growing past a teenager to realize she was stuck in that teenage mentality. She's very attention-seeking and leans hard into melodramatics. Her fondness for alcohol and ganja also exacerbates her melancholy, and I've had many a late-night phone call from her about how she's so lonely, she should have never have left my father, this is all my crazy ex-stepmom's fault, blah blah blah. She's also permanently broke and always looking for a get-rich-quick scheme, and then is surprised when she gets ripped off. Anyway, I moved from Australia to England for love, and also because I was a tiny bit obsessed with Oscar Wilde. We very happily told my family when we were engaged, and because of the requirement to travel, we chose a date quickly, 18 months in the future. Those that have a planned wedding know there is lots involved and it can be stressful. Bio mom was a nightmare, trying to butt her nose in about my dress. Apparently it was wrong that I took my mother-in-law to be instead of her, even though she lives in a different country. Location, we chose Scotland because it's our happy place, but she wanted it to be down south, London way, so she could do tourist stuff, and so on. Anyway, knowing that she's broke, I limited costs where possible. She needed to only pay for her flight over and for her rooms on the wedding weekend. We started to talk about what she's going to wear. Something about my mom, she has a black tattoo. It covers her entire back and was done by some bikers in a garage and is pretty shoot. She sends me pictures of slinky, backless ball gowns. Genuinely, these dresses she's sending are awful. Either far too revealing, backless, or just an awful fabric. I don't really mind what people wear usually, but I did want to be able to look at my wedding photos and not cringe, so I offered a solution. As she missed out on wedding dress shopping, I offered to take her out when she arrived and buy the dress for her. Now, I had quite the army coming out for our wedding, and my sister, who was my maid of honor, came out 3 weeks early to help. I also had a woman coming from Oz who was close to my heart, and one of my mom's friends. I thought the 4 of us could all go dress shopping together. Boy, was this a mistake. My mom pettily sniped that my sister and I were paying too much attention to her friend. We weren't, and started pouting about having to try on dresses. She was acting like a child and my patience ran thin, but the goddess that is my sister smoothed the ruffled feathers and finally got my mom in some dresses. Let's just say anything I had chosen was wrong and awful, and my mom could not understand that she was 20 kilos heavier than she thinks she is. So certain styles just did not suit her. Finally, a dress was found. I go to pay, she walks off with the bag. That's it. No thank you, no acknowledgement, and this was not a cheap dress. Just took the bag and complained that she was hungry and that her friend had been able to have lunch and she hadn't. Day of the wedding arrives. It was great. Husband and I looked amazing. We were surrounded by people we loved and loved us, and we were happy. There we were having a boogie on the dance floor, and I turn around to see my mom in her freaking pajamas. Apparently her dress was too uncomfortable, so she went to the rooms to change into her pajamas. Not something nice but still comfortable, pajamas. Mother freaking pajamas. The biggest annoyance? They didn't even freaking match. I think the worst part is, even if you admit to her how awful that was to do at their wedding, she seems like the kind of person that would do a 180 on the conversation and try to pin it on you somehow, or like guilt trip you or something. It probably, frankly, was just a mistake to invite them all together, honestly. Titled Mother Blames Me for COVID-19 Shutting Down Football Season. Important context, I'm a manager, volunteer organizer basically, of my son's under 15-year-old junior AFL, Australian Football League here in Australia. In the last week, the AFL has informed us due to the pandemic that no junior football in our area will be played this season. As part of my role, I emailed the parents of the team to make sure they know as well. Well, today the team's coach, great guy, mate of mine, and I received a long, ranty email from a mother of one of the children on the team. The email went like this. Dear Mr. Coach and Mr. OP, very long paragraph about how beneficial children's sports is. Long paragraph about how she had to pay a fee to join the team, which she'd know will be refunded in full if she'd bothered to read the email. Extremely long paragraph about how the pandemic is not even bad as the flu, and it's all a big overreaction. The email then concluded, hence, for the above reasons, I believe you should reconsider your decision or push it back at those making it. I don't know what she expects. Me to ring up the government and tell them to reconsider? Neither I or Coach have responded yet. Feel free to suggest ways to do so. I don't think there's a winning way to respond to that, quite honestly. Other than just stating outright that you're not going to be endangering people. There's really not much more you can say. Just that you're going to be following the regulations put in place and that if you don't like it, then talk to the people who make the regulations. Not a football coach. But with that being said, that's all the stories we have for today. So what I want to know is which of these stories was your personal favorite of the day and why? Let me know in the comments below. And thank you all so much for watching and listening to the Storytime channel. If you haven't yet, please consider subscribing, and don't forget to turn notifications on so you'll never miss an upcoming video. Thank you all again for watching and listening to the Storytime channel.